The Geyser Empath. The Geyser Empath is an individual who is empathic in nature, with the additional tendency to fountain with emotion. All empaths are emotional, it goes with the territory, but some empaths are far more emotional than others. This type of empathic tendency is marked by high energy levels. One might even go so far as to say that shades of hyperactivity start to appear with the Geyser Empath. He or she is always on the go, heading here and travelling there, seeking out people to see how they are and to exhibit their significant caring side, with plenty of suitable expressions of concern, empathy, and understanding. The Geyser Empath is very useful for our kind because of how expressive they are with regard to their emotions. Their responses are exaggerated. This does not mean they are false, far from it. The exaggeration appears as a heightened response, which is very useful for us to witness and then allows us to mimic it. There is no subtlety involved. When the Geyser Empath is happy, it is shown as a torrent of joy. Their concern is grave and focused, and their hurt is not of a silent tear, but the wail and tears of the tortured. Such displays may seem melodramatic to some, but they are not. They are exactly how the Geyser Empath feels. The Geyser Empath, owing to the high energy levels, talks often about he or she feels, but this is not a case of them explaining that because it must be all about them, but rather they will convey those feelings in order to help others by causing them to better understand. When someone talks about being in despair, the Geyser Empath will relate how they know despair only too well, and will articulate that feeling in order to demonstrate that they understand how the listener feels. This person has a tissue-thin skin and is highly sensitive. They are very easily hurt, and when we lash out against them, they respond with a fountain of emotion. If they are praised, their thanks will gush from them with greater intensity than a Gwyneth Paltrow Oscar acceptance speech. If they are denigrated, the tears will not flow, but they will cascade along with that trembling bottom lip and a near histrionic response to the pain caused by wounding words. The Geyser Empath is unable to put on a brave face. Whilst the Carrier Empath is dogged and stoic in the face of adversity, focusing their empathy on resolving the situation in a practical fashion, the Geyser Empath will dissolve in a bubbling mess of tears. They are completely unable to conceal their emotions, even for a short time. A Carrier Empath can do so because they shift their feelings onto solving a problem. The Geyser Empath does not have that function. They are excellent at tea and sympathy, kind and comforting words, but of little use practically. Unlike the Magnet Empath, the Geyser Empath is better dealing with intimate and one-on-one situations, as opposed to handling a crowd. The Geyser Empath loves nothing more than finding an individual as their project and wanting to use their biggest asset in order to resolve issues, their utter devotion to love. They are the greatest love devotees of all empaths. They truly believe that with love everything can be solved. Love conquers everything. All you need is love. Love will save the day. If you were to ask them just how this happens, they could not answer, but explain that love works in mysterious ways, and by being loving, showing love, and acting with love in each and everything they do, this will resolve problems, heal hurt, and bring happiness to all. This devotion to love means that the Geyser Empath is big on romance and will readily fall prey to overt exhibitions of passion, love, and romance from our kind. Any narcissist which presents as the knight in shining armor will have the Geyser Empath's attention from the beginning, as he or she believes they have found a kindred spirit. The Geyser Empath's overt displays of emotion make our task of mirroring so much easier. He or she will wear his or her heart on their sleeve, and they will suffer repeated heartbreak. Notwithstanding this outcome, the Geyser Empath is undeterred. They will suffer misery and pain from this broken heart, and they will then affirm their love and bounce back. No matter how devastated they are following the shattering of their heart, they will piece it back together and will do so with greater speed amongst the empathic types. They may suffer considerable pain, and they will exhibit the effect more greatly than other empathic types, but they also recharge with a greater speed as a consequence of their devotion to love. Their belief is unshakable. No matter how many times they are let down, hurt, cheated on, and so forth, they will soon bounce back. They are not naive, but rather have an undimmed and undented belief in the power of love. This capacity for returning to the arena of love so promptly after heartache means that they are ideal candidates for post-discard and post-escape hoovers, as they refuel so quickly. The Geyser Empath is highly sensitive and will be moved to tears regularly, be they tears of joy or tears of pain. There will often be a need for a tissue when this person is around. One might be moved to consider them as somewhat pathetic, but that would be an inappropriate label. Yes, the Geyser Empath is very easy to manipulate in disposing out fuel, and because of their beliefs, they will suffer repeated hurts, but their strength lies in their unwavering belief in love, and how they will soon bounce back following their setbacks. They will do a misery 2.0 when they are wounded and hurt. The sobbing, the wailing, and the tears will be extensive, but it will not last. They do not wallow, but wipe away the tears, reapply the mascara, smooth down the rumpled clothes, and climb right back onto their unicorn of love and hope, and gallop into the fray once again. The Geyser Empath can exhibit unpredictability of response. There will always be emotion which suits our kind, but the extent and intensity of it may at times be so startling that it actually affects the standing of the narcissist with third parties, who look on and witness what appears to them to be histrionics and melodrama. Exerting control over this emotional output can at times prove difficult for all save the greater narcissist. The Geyser Empath lacks the serenity of the Magnet Empath, and there is no cool deliberation like the Carrier. The Geyser will erupt with emotion, with squeals of delight at the good news of a friend who is to be a parent, the triumphant praise for a colleague who has secured a promotion, a devastated collapse following the death of a loved one. The Geyser Empath believes that everyone has the capacity to love, and that once they do, all their ills will be solved. This person appeals to all schools of narcissist because of the high fuel content that is provided and the ease by which it can be provoked. They are easy to seduce, but tend to suffer swifter devaluations than other empaths, because they shine brighter and thus run the risk of our kind becoming familiar with their fuel in a quicker time, so that the potency loses its lustre sooner. As explained earlier, they are prime candidates for hoovers, and often the hoover bar is lower for them as a consequence of the narcissist knowing that so much delicious fuel will become available with the added bonus of it being hoover fuel, and therefore, because the devotion to love means that the Geyser Empath has a greater susceptibility to giving second, third, and fourth chances. The Geyser empathic tendency is evident in all of the classes of empathic individuals. This tendency is often seen amongst the codependent class, when this tendency manifests in an extreme form. Its presence will exist in empaths, but tends to be mixed with other empathic tendencies as well, so the effect will be slightly diluted, but not muted. With regard to the super empath, it is unusual to see the Geyser empathic tendency, because of the super empath's inherent resilience to both the sudden devaluation of being hoovered. However, it will be seen amongst those who have borderline personality disorder, as their displays of emotion and tissue-thin emotional skin exhibit when their empathic side is unleashed, and the resilience of the super empath is demonstrated when they lash out and withdraw. The lesser of our kind is drawn to those with this tendency, because the effort required is so minimal to prompt a response, and thus accords with the lesser narcissist's lower energy levels and reduced cognitive function, for manipulation and machinations. The mid-ranger will also be attracted because of the fuel on offer and the ease by which it can be harvested, but the emotional volatility can become wearing to the mid-ranger because he will struggle to assert control to achieve some of his aims. The greater revels in those with Geyser empathic tendencies, finding the sudden eruptions amusing and playing straight into his portrayal of the individual as unbalanced and unhinged. He or she will take a perverse pleasure in provoking the Geyser into giving more and more fuel.